Good morning, everybody. Dave here, heading to town on a beautiful October the 5th, 2024. It's 1,000 days away from me being able to take my early retirement. Yeah, so it's going to be a good day. So, Dave, what are you up to today? Well, we're going to go to the Chinesium Emporium and pick up a tool that I have used before, but I've never had one at the farm, and it's way past time we have one out at the farm. So hang on and I'll show you what we're going to get. Since it's getting close to Halloween, we're going to give you a Halloween dad joke. Yeah, why don't witches wear underwear? Some of you may have already heard this one. So they can get a better grip on the broom handle. And here we are at the Chinesium Emporium. Yeah. Well, I'm back from town, folks. And we're going to set this fun little package over here in the little stall area here in the milking barn for now, because this area is big enough I can put the Super A in here if I get that ambitious. But let me show you what I got. What I got is a Central Pneumatic 40-pound blaster cabinet. Now, I've used one of those before, and you've all probably seen one before, but this is the first time I've had one here on the farm since I've been doing some repair work, and it's long past due that I get one. So we're going to take this thing apart, put it together, going to show you all that, and we're going to test it out when we're done. I've got a few parts and pieces that need some real quick attention and getting some rust off of them. And we'll get this box with the thing in it back here out of the way, because it's going to end up right about where you're at for the minute when we get it assembled. There we go. If I'd have known I was going to buy something from IKEA, I'd have signed up for IKEA's savings program. Yeah, anyway, there's the manual and we'll get to it. So just looked through the manual, I discovered that this thing comes even with a light, which is this thing right here. Yeah, so that gets put in. And the sheet metal is all fairly well packaged with some of this spongy paper stuff and brown paper. There's the legs wrapped up here on this side, the window and whatnot, miscellaneous parts. There's the gloves and all the hardware that puts the thing together. The door, the bottom of the tray deal to set your stuff on that you're blasting. This piece gets the light mounted to it, and I think that's the front window assembly and panel. Now, one thing about assembling this thing, and we'll start with page 1, item 1. These are the pair of clamps that hold the light to this panel. There's a screw hole there and another one down there. This is all numbered according to the instruction manual on how to put it together. So, according to the manual, you use machine screws number 50, flat washers 59, and nuts 54. Well, guess what? Up here in the, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's numbered. Yeah, so this whole little packet out of all of that does the light brackets. Now, if you ask me, that's a way useful instruction manual. Yeah, where it gives you the part numbers and gives the numbers in the little package where the parts are. Yeah, that's real helpful. I wish I'd have had that when I was putting together that big green drum mower earlier this year, which, by the way, I still haven't finished putting it together yet. Now, the rings that hold the gloves in place into the front of the machine are, well, it's this plastic deal with a textured face on it. and another piece of plastic that is a little bit softer in quality. It's got to stretch on over about like so, and then it's on there. But when you mount the rings into the hole, like that right there, which I haven't got to yet, these little bitty screws, I would definitely suggest putting those 6 in with hand tools, a Phillips screwdriver and a small wrench of some sort to do the nut on the backside, simply because I bet you this plastic could break very easily if you used a power tool such as a drill or impact driver with a Phillips bit on it, plus the wrench on the underside back under here. So I'd just do these by hand if I was you. To install these, you just put your gasket on, slide it in place like that, and have at least one screw through the outer flange just to hold it and whatnot. And this might be a good job for somebody with more agile fingers that aren't corroded up with arthritis. Those arthritis boys can get you. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that if you have issues with your hands, neuropathy where you can't feel anything, kind of about like where I'm at, yeah, you might want to have some help putting those little bitty bolts and nuts in. Now, the next step had me a little perplexed. It said to mount the top, where the window is, to the back wall and the front of the cabinet after applying some of this one-sided sticky sponge rubber tape as a sealant. You've all seen this, weather stripping stuff. And that needs to go along the top edge here on the front panel and the top edge back here on the rear panel. And the step in the top where the window is needs to be up because that makes up the difference of the sponge rubber that is down here between the two pieces. So yeah, that's going to be next up. Now, once the front and the back is joined with the top, there's more tape that needs to be applied and the ends go on. Now, for attaching the front and back and the top, it says use these screws with a little bit of a washer on them. I don't know if you can see that or not. But it also says to use a washer and a nut, and it gives the nut number. Let me grab it here. I got it sitting here on my other panel. Like, do not use the washer on this side. I don't know if that GoPro will pick that up or not, but it's got that serrated edge underneath the flanged part of the nut. Yeah, don't use the washer on that side because that serrated edge acts like a locking mechanism, keeps that nut tight on the back side of that sheet metal. So yeah, the washer does go underneath the head of the screw. When you're assembling this top plate with the window in it to the front where the glove holes are and the back piece, make sure you leave these two screws out of those holes until you get the sides put on it, because that's the next step. Now, you do need to be careful on how you assemble this. Not much light in here, I know. But you can see there's this black gasket material all the way around except for on the bottom of this panel. So you got to make sure it sits in there, and you got to put that tape in here as well. Or no, you don't either, because this actually sits over the outside of the top, the back, and the front. I don't know if you can see it in there, but that's the gasket material. So you want this underneath that, and then your screws will go through here to the inside, and that's what holds all this together and seals it up. I'm going to go ahead and put the left hand end on off camera. It's the same process. Put in the screws with a washer under the head of the screw, and then the locking jam nut thing on the inside. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that off camera, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we put together the right hand side, which involves the hinge for the door. I started running out of screws to finish putting the top plate on where the window is to the front and the back. So I opened up the next one, jumping ahead a little bit in the instructions, which has pretty much the same size machine screws and whatnot in it. Yeah, there's a better picture of it. And that kind of went with the funnel that's upside down here in this shot. It goes on the bottom of the unit, so all the stuff goes down in here and gets caught. Anyway, it has screws in it as well. It takes the same size, plus it also has the gasket material on the overlapping side. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory how to put that together. And then there's this fun little thing that is a drain valve assembly that goes on. It goes on like that, and it has a little handle on the other side here, whichever side I decide to put this on. Let me turn it around. There's the handle in question right there. You unlock that, this little lid flips open, and you can drain out all the old used media that you're using to do your blasting with. Since I've been at this now since about 10:30 today, I've decided it's time to get out the big guns and make some fast work of some of this, because it's already 3:30 today. Yeah. So we're going to make this happen right quick. A carpenter friend of mine recently got married, and upon returning from a weeks-long honeymoon, they discovered that both of their vehicles' license plates needed to be renewed for the upcoming year or two. So they talked about it for a while, and she gave him some good romantic ideas, thinking that, you know, love would never end, and love one, love two, and, you know, all that kind of mushy stuff. But being a realistic person, he knew that sometimes that stuff's already been used. So she let him come up with an option or two on his own if her suggestions were already in use. So the next morning after he returned home late, she goes out to see what kind of license plates they've got. She looked at the back of his truck, and it says, "Nailed it." Then she looked at the back of her car, and it said, "Got nailed." Yeah, I'm sure there's an attorney involved in that situation now somehow. Now to install the legs. The door and its hinge is already installed. Fortunately, the door and the hinge comes already assembled as one piece. All you have to do is find the little galvanized steel bracket that goes on here with 3 screws. It screws into the plastic, and attach the latch at the front, and you're good to go. Now, because of the way this cabinet is made right here, it requires these little shims to go on 3 corners, not all 4. The hinge, the hinge on the right rear side acts like the shim for that particular corner, but the rest of these require that little piece of tin being in there. Now when you get your kit, you're going to probably be like me, think you're missing one, because there's only 3 in the kit, and you only need 3. And that's why, is because that piece back there acts like the shim. Yeah, let's go ahead and put these in. Now we got that shim in there, and we'll put some screws in on the other side, and we'll work on the back leg on the other side. Now at this point in the build, there's 2 things that I can recommend not doing according to the instructions, and they are as follows. When you're putting these rings in the front for the gloves, to attach to it. It tells you to attach the gloves. Well, I don't think so, because they're going to be hanging down here underneath in the way. The other thing that it says to do is attach this before you put it all together with the rest of the cabinet. I don't think so. I've been setting this thing on the floor and been real careful with it, trying not to crack it and break it. So I would leave that off until you're putting on the gloves up here at the front and the window on top. What that shim does is fill in the gap between the backside of the leg and this front panel, because this side panel wraps around in front of it. So it's the same gauge, it just fills in that gap. Alrighty, there's that latch installed for that thing to flip down and drain when you want to change out the old used abrasive. Yeah, it's a real simple little latch, but it works good. Alrighty, there's the hopper down underneath the cabinet, and it says to raise that up and bolt it over here to the underside where there's a few bolts. Not only that, we have a few parts and pieces to put on the inside of this thing first, and it never says anywhere in the directions what to do with the second roll of that sponge tape, the gasket material that's sticky on one side. So I think what I'm going to do is put it on the hopper that goes on the bottom of this thing to help seal that up before we jack it up and put it all together. And I was thinking this went on the inside as well, but it has that black gasket material on both sides, and the holes are pre-punched in it that match the bottom of that hopper. So I'm thinking that whole enchilada lifts up, and the gasket on both sides here seals this thing so that it doesn't leak out down around the bottom. Yeah, so we're going to get this thing stuffed in here yet. This is also a good time to add the wire screen that goes, what you see when you're looking down through the window with your glove out here wandering around. Yeah, that's to keep parts and pieces from falling down into the hopper there, but the real little stuff will still go down, so you gotta be real careful with that. This really is one of those proverbial times when a second pair of hands would be darn sight handy. Yep. Don't fall down in there, screw. Ah, there it went. Ah. This would be almost handier and easier to do if it was upside down. Okay, I got the reinforcement brace and everything lined up. Now to get that nut started, we're good to go there. Yeah, just 13 more screws and nuts to go. Oh boy, how much excitement is that? The lighting has never been really wonderful in this old barn when the big doors on the east and west end are shut. And if you can't tell, it's getting to be nighttime out there. So the last thing to do here is install that latch to hold that door shut. Yep. So I think that's going to call it for tonight. I'll tell you, that's about going to do it for me today. I have, well, this thing has whooped me. Yeah, $200 for maybe using it 3-4 times a year. In my little pea brain way of thinking, it was all right. But after putting together all these dadgum little bitty screws, bolts, nuts, and whatnot, is it still worth it? Seeing as how the Eastwood model of this sells for about $600 on sale. Stay tuned for part 2, and I'll tell you as soon as I'm done building this thing and testing it out. But anyway, for all of my new subscribers, thank you for joining up with Dave's Old Iron, where we're going to be restoring old iron goodies this winter and fall. Thus, the reason why I'm buying or have purchased this sandblasting cabinet. We got to clean up some metal so it can be painted and restored and whatnot. So, yeah, there'll be a few more little new toys coming along down the line, but for now, it's this one. And here pretty quick, we'll get back to restoring tractors again. So anyway, like I said, thank you to all the new subscribers, and thank you for all those that have been with me for quite a while. Thank you for those that keep up the words of encouragement in the comments and whatnot. And we'll see you next time for part 2 of me finishing this up. Anyway, I'm Dave with Dave's Old Iron, and we'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye for now.